Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Power of Eight podcast book club. I'm here as your co-host, Pollyanna Blanco, with Jennifer Smith, and we're just going to let you know today we've been experiencing some tech issues on our back end here. So if things get a little creative tech-wise with time delays and things like that, we're just going to do our best. I don't know if there's something in the air today. So today we're looking at the afterword, this wonderful book that we've been for 5 months now diving into chapter by chapter by Lynne McTaggart, called The Power of Eight. And I'm just going to read the subtitle again. It's a message on my end. Oops, connection lost, reconnecting. So I don't frozen. Was I frozen there or?
You were. I did. From my end, I cannot hear the subtitle that you just read. Do you want
Okay.
to say it
Okay.
again?
It's for some reason I don't know why I've never had this experience with my internet here. It's been a little unstable. So I'll just read the subtitle again. It's harnessing the miraculous energies of a small group to heal others, your life, and the world. So this was actually a really interesting chapter. What did you think of it, Jennifer?
Oh, I love the chapter because there were so many testimonies from so many people from different countries about how the Power of Eight group really did miraculous things in their life. And it was really, the intention in getting together every week and in holding other people's intentions as if it's already happened. So there's a lot of examples that we can go through today. What I loved Lynn, how she wrote at the very beginning of the chapter and at the end some of her words of wisdom and kind of where she was with the experiment. That really resonated with me as well.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. The testimonials, again, it's amazing how many testimonials are in this book. It's a really good read for anyone out there who wants to believe in all of this, and maybe there's an aspect of them that's questioning it or doubting it or hesitating. It'll restore your faith in what you know deep down inside on a soul level and a spirit level is true. And because she's approaching the whole topic as a scientist, she's collected, it's amazing how much data she's collected,
Mhm.
all these different, and she talks about in this chapter too, a couple more experiments specifically that she's done, in addition to all the other data she's collected from other experiments. I feel like it's just making this wonderful case for the, the power of holding that positive and positive intention for in a small group where other people are holding the same intention, and how that group energy becomes something more than even the individuals in it. It becomes larger than the sum of the parts, as they say, right?
Mhm.
And how it becomes this mutually beneficial healing that takes place between, sender and recipient. And that it is often, I'm amazed, I'm curious about your thoughts on it. I'm amazed at how quickly people heal in these groups, right? Like people who've had things that they've been struggling or dealing with for decades, even sometimes. And then after being in these groups, what they're reporting is phenomenal, really. Like
Mhm.
it almost like the mind of form, might want to say, is that even possible? But maybe that's why she includes so many anecdotal and like stories, like testimonials of
Mhm.
people from all kinds of different walks of life.
Yeah. I was thinking as I was reading this, I'm so glad she put this together because I think it will help people who may seem skeptical about the true power of who we are. And will help them get past that bridge. But also, I was thinking, you and I have been with groups. we've seen miracles. We know how much is out there. And it would be amazing if everybody had that recorded. I'm even thinking back just in my time healing in the last, 4 years. But I don't record any of that because it's to me it's like sacred for clients that are coming in. But wow, if we would have gotten permission to just record every single thing in their testimony, I mean, there would be thousands upon thousands of people all over the world that could contribute to testimonials as well.
That's so true. Thank you for sharing that. And like there's that ripple effect too. So like you're talking about thousands of individual people that that we've come in contact with, and
Mhm.
but then what we also need to factor in is all the people beyond that, who the ripple effect, because like she talks about in many different parts of the book, and we've talked about too together, it's is that people, even after the experiment is over, a lot of them note improved relationships with family members and things like that. So as a result, the healing of one person impacts a multitude of other people, which pays it forward, which moves it forward, amongst so many people. And
Mhm.
I think this is there. You know what? I'm feeling. I'm gonna find the quote again. There's towards the end of the chapter. There's an amazing quote that just really struck me quite profoundly. It's
Um, as
towards.
you're as you're looking for that, do you mind if I just the very first paragraph on
Sure, go ahead.
why Lynn was doing this? She said that she was nervous about putting this information out to everyone. But then, as she thought about it, I thought this paragraph was so good. She said, "I wanted these group effects to be used for the right reasons and not for cashing in on miracles. I
Yes.
also wanted to see how we could scale up the process to use it to heal the world in a meaningful way. But mostly, before unleashing this to the mass, to all of us, I wanted it to understand more about what it was that I was witnessing while trying to work out how on earth I'd managed to embroil myself in delivering it to the world. But what I loved the most was she wanted this to be out to everyone because
Mhm.
uh, for people to use it for the right reasons and not for cashing in on miracles, because so many people wanted to take it and go make a lot of money from it, from letting everyone know about this. So I really loved that. I really loved her sincerity behind what she's doing with her work.
Yeah, I'm so glad you shared that. That struck me also, because it's the integrity. And I'm thinking right now of when I was studying English, Lang and Lit in university, and reading the Canterbury Tales and the Pardoner's Tale in particular, how he was selling pardons on the roadside. you know, we don't, that's not what she's encouraging. She's trying to make sure that we're coming, because but this is we both know this. You just reminded me of something when you said that. We both know this from our studies in Reiki, that if you're going to come at energy work from that sort of perspective, it's not going to work.
Mhm.
There's kind of there are natural laws out there that are larger than our individual egos, always operating, thank goodness.
Mhm.
And so the whole reason why miracles are possible and miraculous healings are possible, and she talks about it in the book, is because it comes from that pure place of no agenda, not trying to control the outcome, surrendering and trusting the divine to work through us, and being that clear channel for it. So there's that built-in safeguard in one sense, so if someone were to like think, okay, cha-ching, I'm going to cash in on this, and it's just not going to work. It's I think they've even done studies too with placebos, right, with recipients of Reiki, and someone being that pure channel and sending healing energy to a recipient, and then someone just doing the hand positions without any of that intentionality and being that clear channel. And what those studies have revealed, I forget the source and when they were done, but they're out there floating around. People can find them. That just doing the hand patterns that come with Reiki and the positions and the symbols, without that attunement, without that, alignment, and all the other things that go with that, that basically that purity of heart and being that clear channel, it didn't do any damage, but it also didn't serve the other person, other than they were maybe taking a nap.
Right. Right. Yeah, good point. So there's many, many examples in the book. Do we want to, you touched upon a few of them. And I think there was something in the back, that a quote that you wanted to go over that stuck out to you.
Yeah, it was on page 261. This
Okay.
really hit me in a profound way. It was after she was talking about the Middle Eastern peace experiment. And it's right at the bottom of that page where she says, I remain hopeful as always about our capacity, you know, to impact things positively. And the part that I'm just really want to jump to is, I love this: to solve a seemingly intractable political situation, the fastest and most effective way forward in a war zone may not be through the military, politics, diplomacy, or even economic initiatives. All you may need are people coming together as a group and praying as one. I love that.
I
I
did
thought,
too. That's the only thing I had highlighted on that page. We're always thinking the same, aren't we?
we
Yeah,
are.
I mean, and that is really profound, and it's really true. It wouldn't take that much. It would take just a number of people getting together and just, sending that good positive energy from the heart. And I think
Exactly.
things would change just like that.
And what I loved about those experiments too is that there were people in the Middle East that seemingly, you know, had maybe hadn't even seen people from certain countries because of
Mhm.
very restrictive beliefs in those countries. And um, when they gathered, it was a very well put together experiment where they had representatives in different Zoom rooms representing these different countries and people praying together. The comments were amazing. There was one too where um, the women were crying and laughing as they recognized the common humanity in each other. Um, a woman from Abu Dhabi said she had seen visions of Israelis dancing with Palestinians during the experiment. A woman from Jerusalem described her visions of Israeli soldiers hugging Arabs, and another envisioned a wedding with an Arab man dancing with a Jewish woman. I love you so much, said Fatima from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia to the Jews in Jerusalem, blowing them kisses. Your God is my God. We love you, sisters. Call out people from the Israeli audience. It's so overwhelming. The possibility of being connected with you, our sisters in Amman, Damascus, and Iran, and all over. We are hundreds and thousands of women here saying, enough. It's time. It's a time of compassion. It's a time of healing. Thank you, dear sisters. We are one. And I'm taking a leap of faith sharing this right now because of everything going on in the world. And at the same time, more than ever, this message is needed. And um, there's a lot of healing that needs to take place. And I feel like already I think she did these experiments back, was it 2000? I think it was 2017 that she was
Yeah.
doing. Yeah. And so, a few years back, but not really that long ago. And, you know, if we could just reframe how we approach solving these problems, and it's that common humanity, right? That got me right here in the heart. And I
Mhm.
thought, you know, and even in 2017, it comes down to choice, right? Because I think for all of us in our lives, the choice to forgive, the choice to, no matter what has come before, no matter how tragic, no matter how gut wrenching, to choose, okay, and like they said, enough is enough. Like we're going to choose
Mhm.
compassion. We're going to create something even better. And this is something that, I mean, if we don't choose that, then what's the alternative? I don't think any of us like the alternative. So this is why
Mhm.
I feel like this book right now is a must read for so many people, right?
Yes.
I feel so strongly about that.
Yeah, I do too. Just so people will have the awareness of what's possible. And you can get together with a group of people, of 8 people, and just have your positive intentions, and go through just, listening to just some breath work and some positive intentions to get the process started. So it's not years of training to do this.
Yeah.
Everyone can do this. And that's what I love about this too, is that doing it in a group situation with positive intentions, everyone can do this. It's
Yes.
not that hard, you know?
Yes. It's empowering people to realize the good, the capacity for good that they
Mhm.
have within them, and to not let anything that would tell them otherwise interfere with that deep knowing, to really
Mhm.
embrace it, to have the, the courage to just invite themselves to experience that. And I think the key thing is the experience, because once you get a taste of that, you're like, this is why I'm here. This is what my humanity is for, right? Like there was also another situation in St. Louis, Missouri, right, with crime, and violent crime, and in an area that was reported to be the most, was a particular location in St. Louis, Missouri, referred to as the Bridge, where statistically crime was 367%, I think, the national average, in the US. And
That's not far from me.
oh, really? Oh, I didn't
It's about an
realize.
hour. It's about an hour for me, so yeah.
Oh,
I know
wow.
exactly where they're, what she was talking about when she had that in there, and yeah, it used to be a really high crime rate.
Wow.
Mhm.
And then they got all the statistics together and everything like that. And it's amazing how the Power of Eight group sending, positive intentions to that area with the intention to reduce violent crime, reduced it significantly. I mean, um, I think it was from 44 down to 25. I mean, it wasn't completely eradicated, but it was greatly lessened, right?
Mhm.
That really, um, made an impact too, like that. I mean, because oftentimes when we think about healing, even though we've talked about it in other parts of the book, it's like you think about healing on a personal level or healing from an illness, but then there's so much healing that can be sent to communities, um, to, um, you know war zones, to, even the earth herself, like
Mhm.
where she's been, struggling with, you know imbalance, well, the ocean for one, because of, I would love to see an experiment, with one, in the about the ocean, right? And the acidity levels in the ocean, helping it to become more alkaline, so the fish can survive and stay alive, and we can too, you know. So
Yeah. I was wanting to mention something you were talking about the experiment they did with, leaders in a room, and they had 9 different cameras in that experiment. And there was one quote that really stuck out to me, because a lot of these different countries have never really talked or been with people from the other countries. So one of the girls, this is at 259, it says, this is a quote, "You have no idea how revolutionary this is, like to
mm,
be able to see other people on the video screen and talk to them. You have no idea how revolutionary this is," one Saudi woman remarked to me, to Lynn. "We have never seen Israelis. We've been taught to believe that they have horns coming out of their heads."
yeah, yeah,
And it kind of took, I mean, that's sort of like an extreme,
yeah,
but it took me back to like, wow, what we are taught is just what we believe, and we've got to get out of that programming, right?
mm,
And this is probably most of the people in the world. I would say a good 80 some percent is, we're all taught certain things, and that's just what we believe, and we've got to break out of those limited beliefs and those paradigms, and really start thinking on our own, and start researching and start understanding the more miraculous things that are available to all of us.
exactly. It breaks down barriers, right? it,
Mhm.
it it reminds us that at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we may have different experiences, different stories, different cultures, and at the end of the day, you know we're all one. We're all here
Mhm.
having a human experience, and what I love about these groups is it's about reunification. It's
Mhm.
that one mind that she talks about in the highest sense, like where you are all on the same page so much that that one mind becomes so powerful in terms of being a force for good and for healing and for expansion and for reunification and peace and love and all these beautiful high vibrational frequency states of being. And then that ripple effect, it's not just for the 10 minutes that they're doing the intention groups, it's days, months, weeks, after years after, that people are seeing permanent shifts in their lives, right?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, and her work was mentioned that too, where they would follow up, and yes, the results are still permanent, or still staying to where they were right after the intention experiments. There was one person, he talked about having PTSD from the war that he was in, and after he was the receiver in the Power of Eight group, and that really elevated his life to just get up and start living again, to really, because he was in a deep depression. And that was one of the things he mentioned, that he can catch it, that he's doing really, really well, but he's also able to catch whenever he starts to slip back and maybe an old habit. He can catch it really quickly and uh, reverse that habit to continue to the elevation and the vibration that he's at today.
I loved his story. I love, and I'm so happy you brought it up because I also remember one thing that also stood out for me in his story was how, because he remembered himself as a 19-year-old before he went off to war, before he was conscripted, and all the dreams he had and all the optimism. And then when he came back from the war with the PTSD, of course that was kind of squelched, and he struggled for most of his life with depression. And the beautiful thing was is that one of the miraculous occurrences was his, seeing, able to sort of see his 19-year-old self and connect with the energy. This is getting into kind of quantum
Mhm.
healing, right? Where
Yeah.
there's no time and space, which is really
Mhm.
exciting. And to really show up for his 19-year-old self. And he was able to integrate that energy, that he was anchored in the experience of what he felt inside of himself during the Power of Eight healing group. And then he was able to integrate that 19-year-old self. And he started like exercising again, walking on, I think it was 90 minutes a day and lifting weights. And because he had integrated this earlier self into his present day self, his metabolism improved, and
Mhm.
he received a very strong intuitive message from his 19-year-old self saying, you know, um, there's still time to do all of this, to be all of this, even at 65.
Yes.
And just the rejuvenation and his spirit and his physical health, everything. So I always go back to in my mind that A Course in Miracles, and that it always struck me that definition of a miracle is just in its most pure, simplest of ways of explaining it, a shift in perception, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that was a beautiful story. I loved his story. Starting again at 65 and just taking life on and living it to the fullest. That was a great read. So they talked about physical healing, right? So there's a lot of physical healing, really some miraculous healings from several different people. Relationship healing. So there was a story in there about a person who wanted to have her relationships healed with her family. I think it was maybe siblings, but she got 3 calls right in a row after that were unusual, where people are more open to her, more vulnerable, and the conversation was a little bit different. So the Power of Eight groups can be for all sorts of healings, right? Physical, relationship wise, even business wise. There were some things there as well. So we should all be doing this.
yes. It's almost like, there's certain things like we do, like we brush our teeth and we take showers and we cook ourselves meals and we get enough sleep and drink enough water and exercise. This should be like a part of that, like our daily just way that we care for ourselves and care for our
Mhm.
communities and care for our families. Just it would be
Yeah.
wonderful if that was just like a practice, a very normalized kind of daily, weekly, monthly kind of practice, a way of
I
sharing
think we'll get
kindness.
there. I think many people will start realizing the power that resides within them just by the mindfulness and just meditating or quieting the mind just 15, 20 minutes a day in the morning. That can make a huge impact on a person's life. I also wanted to read this story too because I thought it was good, or just, a summary of it. But this was, her name was Linda, and she had been diagnosed with an operable stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh, yes, yes.
And so she had been healing herself largely by following an integrative approach with very low dose chemotherapy and a change of diet and supplements, plus a great deal of mental and spiritual work. So she was already working on this on her own. Um, but with the power of 8, she was able to get her markers from a 3, which is a high normal, down to a 2 in a very short amount of time right after that. So, yeah, I mean, it's anything is possible. Anything.
It's so heartwarming to know that these through these examples, like, they're very inspiring when I
Mhm.
when I heard about that, because it also people need to know this and need to hear this, right? Because you know there are so many. I think when people sometimes stop believing in what's possible, it's just because it's our way of trying to protect ourselves, and yet at this and to be okay with, we don't want to be disappointed again, we don't want to be let
Mhm.
down, and just by simply being open to being the recipient, or even, like she talked about, the power of giving, right? Even if you're someone who is experiencing, a health concern, or something that you want to heal in your life, and you focus on sending, healing energy, with of course with the permission of the recipient, to them, then, there is this remembrance almost of who we truly are. And it's not a mental remembrance, it's a whole body experiential remembrance of
Mhm.
the life force, the source energy that we truly most are. And this body of form is just an opportunity to kind of have a richer experience, because it's sensorial, right? And we get all this interact through sensation and through our five senses. And what animates that body of form is this creative divine source being that's
Mhm.
that's breathing vitality into it. It's breathing healing in and through it, and showing up for not only ourselves, but the everyone in our lives. That's the power of this presence. It's an exciting time on earth that we can even be
Mhm.
having this show, and
I know.
on a free station like YouTube, and just sharing and reading a book, that someone who's devoted a good part of her life to study this, and spend the time, energy, and financial resources to do these studies.
Mhm.
It's really exciting, and I'm excited too, because we got some great comments over here in our chat. Do you
Oh,
mind if I read some
oh,
of them? I
yeah, please
just
do. Go
see
ahead.
pop up. Yeah, this is I'm hearing yes, and so truly interconnected, mind, body, and soul, and absolutely 100% great vibration. Ah, thank you. Oh, thank you both for this lovely content. Well, thank you, Julie's, for, I hope I've got that right. Jules, sorry, Jules. We are Love Alchemy. I love your name. Thank you so much for watching live with us and being here and bringing your positive energy here. We really appreciate it.
Very nice. We love the comments or questions.
Well, if anyone else is watching live and you feel like, if you have any questions or comments, or just you want to send some good vibes our way, we welcome all of that.
Mhm. Yeah, and if there's anyone that is interested in participating in our Power of 8 group that will be forming soon, you can go to meetthelight.com/thepowerof8 and just fill in that form and we'll be in contact with you. I also included the link. I know after the recording's done, it'll be on there. I'm assuming it's on there now, but it's in the comments in the description below this video.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
And, this has been such a pleasure and an honor to, gosh, we were talking about it last week. It's been 5 months. We've been so dedicated and so devoted to this, and we've shown up for each other and for the viewers. And, we've had the stick with itness that people talk about.
Yes, it's been a wonderful experience. And I can't wait for the Power of 8 groups. I think that's going to be even more wonderful. And I'm so looking forward to the night for 2025. And I mean, it's going to be so many beautiful things happening.
For sure. And I just saw we have a question here from Jules. What books do you recommend? And oh, I like that group. Yay, tie. And thank you. Well, thank you for all your positive energy again, Jules. So that's a really good question. What books do you have? Any? I know there are some other books by Lynne McTaggart. She's also written one called The Field, right?
Yeah, there's so many great books to read, and it really depends on what topic that you're wanting to dive into. I always try to steer people towards the topics of like the true nature of who they are and how powerful they are as spiritual beings and manifesting and being able to heal. In fact, I was just asked to put together a book list for somebody. That's why it's right here. Andy, do you want me to read off some of them?
Okay, wonderful. And then we've got another comment after that too. They're pouring in today.
So there, like I said, there's a lot, but here's just a few. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That helps with mindfulness and in the present moment awareness. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, which is probably written in 1903. Really the connection between our thoughts and character. Working with the law or the universal spiritual laws, which you mentioned, Pollyanna, earlier in this segment. Something about, you mentioned about the laws of, the laws of our being. The Power of Awareness by by Goddard. And if you're going to
Neville Goddard.
I don't have the book right here with me, but the book that has the awakened imagination with a part of that's because there's stories about that on there that helps connect to the power of awareness. You're Born Rich by Bob Proctor. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. That's achieving wealth and other manifestations through spiritual alignment. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which most people associate with just a business book, but whenever you read into it, it's very much a spiritual book. And I found out that he was not able to publish what he really wanted to publish at that time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which was more about the higher vibration. So it's kind of it doesn't have all of the information that he wanted to give, but the publishers wouldn't allow him to.
Interesting.
So I've actually taken his book and I up-leveled it to the spiritual version so people could understand what he's trying to say through a class that I have. Outwitting the Devil is good because that's overcoming internal obstacles of fear, doubt, and procrastination, and that's by Napoleon Hill as well. The Magic of Believing, The Alchemist.
I love that one also.
Yeah, you had mentioned A Class in Miracles.
Oh, A Course in Miracles.
A Course in Miracles. I haven't read that yet, but I know a lot of people do like that one. But yeah, those are about 12 different book titles there. Keeps you busy. Yeah, and the power of 8.
And then Jules is mentioning Dr. Wayne Dyer is incredible too. Yes. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And gosh, I've got some. Oh, also I like. The name is on. I'm sometimes go a little blanky blank with the name sometimes, but I'm looking at my bookshelf right now, and it is Maps of Consciousness. Give me a moment. I'll be right back.
Power versus Force?
Yes, Hawkins, David R. Hawkins. That's
Yeah,
who I'm thinking
that's
of right
another
now.
great book.
His stuff
Yeah.
is very readable, and he talks, if you're interested in consciousness and all kind, he's got about, I think he's written about 12 books or something. And
Yeah.
then even
Well, you talk
uh,
about consciousness, but really when we talked about today and all the miraculous things that happen, that's really what's happening with people. Is there, after the healings, their consciousness lifts, and the consciousness lifting, upraising is where the healing happens.
for sure. Well, I'm just curious. There's before it disappears in the chat. I also want to acknowledge Alice Michael. Um, can you see that comment down there? Because I can't seem to scroll down, but there's a comment. I can see the top half of it. Unless Alice, if you don't mind, can you move down to see it, Jennifer? Starts off, I'm plagued by eights, and then this showed up in my algorithm.
Oh, I'm plagued by AIDS, and then this showed up in my algorithm. I'll have to look back into the first 30 minutes after you're done being live. So say,
Oh,
hey,
okay. Oh, that's a fun synchronicity. Yes, I'm glad
yeah,
you're trusting that.
yeah, very good.
And then there's one more. And at the top here from Alice as well, I'll add one that's left field, but so good. Life's Operating Manual by Tom Shadyac, the director of Ace Ventura, and he was also in that amazing documentary One. I've showed that to my students before. Um, I believe it's called One, unless I'm mixing up the name of the documentary. But he did a documentary after he had been in a bicycling accident and had a concussion. And he had been this big Hollywood movie director, and then he reframed his whole life after the concussion
Mhm.
and looked at basically um, this whole thing that we've really been talking about, which is how to reunify human beings, and that he talks about. Oh, okay, yeah, you've seen the documentary, Alice. Yeah, it's amazing. I've watched it so many times. I think it's on Netflix too or something, and it's oh, I Am. Thank you for the name. I don't know why I was calling it One. It's called I Am. Thank you for that clarification. It's amazing because he revisits Darwin, right, and the survival of the fittest, and he says he's only mentioned that twice in his Origin of the Species, and whereas the word love was in it many more times, and nobody talks about that. They talk about survival of the fittest, you know.
Mhm. Oh,
So,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah. Oh, this is amazing. Well, this is
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for, all your great shares and questions. This is awesome. We're loving it. We hope you'll check out our landing page at meetthelight.com/ the power of eight, right? And remember,
Yeah.
it's eight as a word, not as a number.
Right.
Just,
Um, yeah. So once we have the 8 established, then we can get that going up right away. I'm really super interested and excited about that. But it's got to be, you got to have a commitment to it because we got to show up weekly at the same time, most likely via Zoom. But yeah, I'm ready for miracles to happen. More miracles, right?
yes. Oh, well, I know this feels sort of like our swan song today, right now, and we may be back with other things, but our next big focus is the Power of Eight groups. So,
All right. If you have any more questions, any more comments, please drop them. I think that's probably the conclusion for today, but we'd be happy to chat with you a little bit longer. We appreciate all the comments today too. It's been wonderful. I can feel the energy. I'm getting real hot.
yeah, I'm
You
feeling
feel
it
it too?
too. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mhm. All
Well,
right
I
then.
think that might
Very
be a
good.
wrap.
I think that's a wrap. I think the afterword is a very good read because it gives so many examples of healings and what the power of eight can do. Um, so please join us if you have your own network of friends where you want to form your power of eight. you're welcome to get with us as well, and we can go through some of the instructions with you. Oh,
Oh, that's
great, Alice. Alice says, I'm filling out the form. Good, good.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's
and then
fantastic.
this will be, on a private Zoom, just with the 8 of us. So I'm looking forward to meeting everyone and to get this started.
Yeah. Jennifer, thank you so much for mentioning that too, because we mentioned that last time. I know sometimes people are shy about joining these things, and we're not going to be live streaming the Power of Eight groups. It will be a private Zoom group. So,
Right.
and we'll respect safety and the sacredness of it, because yeah, we want it to be a safe, sacred space for everyone to feel, good stuff can happen in.
Yes, very much so. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful 23, 24 weeks of covering the power of 8. Our focus is going to be on the group's intention via Zoom, on that private sacred space for people. And Pollyanna and I don't have any plans yet. We just kind of roll with what comes to us. So I have a feeling we might be back with some more things live, though.
Yes, because we just love sharing together.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and check out our landing page.
Bye, everyone.